Have you ever wondered why sometimes organizations don't just perform? Or have you ever wondered why some organizations have high turnover levels of employees within a very short period of time? There are times you just look at, the job market and even the recruitment portals, and you wonder, this company on the other day, they were just recruiting a similar position, and today they are asking for a similar role. And you wonder, is it that they need several positions for the same position, or do they need the same, just one position? And you get to wonder why they keep on recruiting the same position over and over again. Sometimes it is just, they keep recruiting every day they're recruiting, and it's not like they are, enlarging. It's not like they are growing, but it is the level of turnover of employees of that organization. And today I want to imagine that sometimes while we could be quick at pointing fingers at non-performance or of employees, I think the most important thing that organizations need to look at is the aspect of leadership, because leadership is very, very critical in shaping how employees perform. And if you have the wrong type of leader within the organization, then it means that even the employees themselves will not be able to perform as expected by the institution. Today, I want us to look at the issue of insecure leaders, or insecure leadership, so to say. Why insecure leaders? Or why insecure leadership? Insecure leadership really affects how an organization is directed or how organizations are led. Because if you have an insecure leader, then it means everything that organization does may not even be geared towards the general good of the organization or even the employees themselves. Because for one, insecure leaders, they act from the point of themselves. It is about themselves. You may say that either they lack they may not even be lacking a skill per se, but they just are not easy to relinquish their, position, or for lack of something better for them to do. So anytime they come to an organization, they feel that their position is a do or die position. They cannot even delegate. They cannot be able to mentor or even motivate other people to perform better than they are. And it is very, very important to note that insecure leaders, they just disseminate negative energy. At any point an insecure leader comes to an organization, then first of all, the first thing they do is that they give employees fear. They communicate fear. Insecure leaders always communicate fear. They do not encourage. They always threaten. That is insecure leaders for you. At any point, an employee is not able to perform even a small task, or even raises a question, regarding on how to be directed, from point A to B, or maybe a task as proved challenging. At some point, these leaders, they do not even mentor. Their work is just to threaten. If you cannot perform this work, you'd rather go. If you don't feel fit enough, I think the best thing is you just leave the organization, or you just do a resignation letter. And I do not think that is the right way, to approach some of these challenges, because these are challenges that we cannot wish away. We cannot know everything. We cannot know everything at once. At some point, we have to look up to somebody to help us. And so the problem we have with insecure leaders is instead of them inspiring, they communicate fear. And it is very, very unfortunate that while employees are always wishing the organization goodwill, even the junior employees, sometimes they can be met with a lot of threat that, in as much as they mean well for the organization, then the fear that they might even be sacked, of improvement. There's always room for improvement for everyone. But with insecure leaders, they do not find anything good about anybody. They'll complain about policies, they'll complain about the organization, they'll complain about employees, they'll pick faults with everybody. And for them, there is nothing that is good about anyone apart from themselves. Those are insecure leaders. And so you can imagine now, looking at some of these as attributes, there are many of them, but you can imagine now when you're looking at such, critical attributes, and you are able to identify these are people within the organizations. So you can imagine the amount of stress that they bring to the employees. And before you know it, the employees are stressed. They cannot even be able to, to speak up their challenges. And by the time you realize it, that these employees are even sick, they get stressed. Before you know it, they are just absconding duty. They would rather go to a medical doctor and they get a sick off. They may not be necessarily sick, but they are just avoiding the stressful environment within the organization. And so you realize that even with the insecure leaders, they even avoid introducing the juniors to their seniors. It is that bad. They can be that bad, to that they can be insecure to that level, whereby any opportunity they get, they'll avoid, even giving a positive word to your seniors. And in fact, it is even worse if the junior employee is performing better, than the leader himself. It becomes very, very, very challenging for employees. The only time maybe the employees get to express themselves, maybe it is during a retreat or maybe a team building activity. And that is why it is very, very important that team buildings, are held within certain periods of the year so that they can help the employees to relieve their stress. And during these sessions, then it is the only time that maybe even the senior management can be able to meet up with the junior employees and be able to interact from now a social point of view, and they just talk one-on-one. And it is at that point then maybe employees can be able to air out their views, and so. It is very important for organizations to critically look at the type of leaders that they have, so that then when we are talking matters performance, then we do not have leaders who are impeding the performance of employees, because it cuts down all the way. It comes down, it boils down to the entire organizational performance. So leadership is very key, and I would imagine that at some point it is very important for organizations, during the recruitment processes, sometimes it could be very hard even to identify these people at the point of recruitment. And so during the probation period, it is always important for organizations to come up with parameters that can be able to, to vet these type of leaders, so that now at the point the leader has come to the organization, to the point the probation period is coming to an end, then they can be able to say, what, from the time you go to this organization, these and these employees have performed downwards. There is no motivation for these employees. There is nothing that you've done to inspire these employees, And so it is very critical that even during the probation periods, before we can confirm a leader, before senior leaders can confirm other managerial positions or even leaders within different lines of departments, it is always very important to ensure that before a confirmation is done, then we take a critical role in vetting some of these people against certain parameters. Then we can be able to say the leader that we've put in place, this is a person who has been vetted, and these are people who are credible to leading even employees. Because remember, an organization is as good as its employees. So if employees are not performing well, then look at the leaders. I understand this is just one factor, but which is very, very critical to the performance of an organization.